Hey everybody, welcome back again to New Angle Sports Talk. Today we're going to be reviewing the Jazz and Rockets Game 3, big time game. And as usual, the highlights are going to be on the screen as we kind of go through them here and talk through what happened. But a little bit of background about how this series has gone so far before we jump into some of the highlights is in the first two games, Houston really dominated the first two games. The Jazz just got blown out consistently in both games. Donovan Mitchell has really been in a slump the first two games in the series. Hasn't been his normal self. Well, definitely wasn't the Donovan Mitchell that excelled last season at all. But jumping right into quarter one, just to start off the game, Donovan Mitchell had a big alley-oop to get started, basically to get started with the game. I think it was the first or second possession they got in. He also had a huge 4-point play as well too, and that's whenever the James Harden foul trouble started again. So he got a second foul on that play. Donovan Mitchell hit that three. He went on to hit the free throw as well too, but the person who fouled him was James Harden. So within the first minute and like 34 seconds or so, James Harden was already in foul trouble, and he already had two fouls at that point. Now, Mike D'Antoni does elect to keep him in the game anyways, and we're going to kind of go over that and see how that worked out for them in this game. But Utah starts the game off with an 8-0 run, so they come out hot. You know, that's kind of to be expected, though, in these games where the lower seed is down by 2-0. They get back to their hometown crowd, and that hometown crowd, at least in the games that we've reviewed so far, I know this is the first video today, but the videos that we reviewed last night, like in the Orlando one, for example, that Orlando team really came out hot. And I think it was mostly because of the hometown crowd and really pumping them up and getting them ready for this game. But not only that, not only the Jazz did they come out really hot and really ready to play tonight, but Donovan Mitchell did come out to play tonight. And also Gobert really came into his own defensively. He's only had one block over the first two games. He had four blocks in the first quarter. And again, like I said, Donovan Mitchell, he ended with the quarter with 13 points already. And honestly, I think, like I said, circling back a little bit around to the home court advantage, if I have to choose the top three places to play, I would say in the NBA, Utah has to be up there. Utah, every single series, that crowd when you're playing in Salt Lake City, it's loud, they're rowdy, the crowd is engaged, and you can even go back in the Thunder series last year where it's the same thing. It's just a pumped up organization, pumped up fan base, and they're ready to play basketball every single night and support the Utah Jazz. Now, jumping into quarter two was pretty much average. There wasn't a lot that happened until kind of later on in that quarter, in my opinion. Royce O'Neal had a slick. He got a steal, and then he had a slick behind the back that he went around James Harden with, and then end up finishing for the 2 points with about 5:35 left in the game. I highlighted that specifically because I thought that got me off my couch. So that I was pumped up after that play. And then, like we talked about, James Harden, foul trouble early. He got his third foul, but he didn't get his third foul until 2:50 left in the half. So he did go a long ways without getting another foul. Again, he'd played every minute up to this game essentially at this point in the game, and D'Antoni still continues to leave him in the game. Now, James Harden, he did not have a good game, and we will talk about that in just a second as well too. But the thing that Harden, the thing about Harden, the thing about superstars just in general, is even when they're not having a great game, if they're not putting points on the board or if they're in foul trouble or whatever, you can tell James Harden, just watching this game, how much pressure that he puts on the defense and how much he can play in other aspects of the game besides just shooting threes all night and scoring points all night. You know, he saw it in his assists. He had a lot of his steals. His leadership as well too. The whole team was, behind him and Chris Paul like they do every night. But specifically in a big playoff game, those are the guys that really have to step up and keep up their game, even maybe in a night that they're not having the best game either. But rounding down to the end of the second quarter, some of the big highlights that you're going to see on here is Chris Paul had a big time three with about 1:10 left in the quarter. Royce O'Neal, he's one of my big time favorite players as well too. Not that he's a superstar or anything, but he just is a very, very solid role player. He had a big time block on James Harden with about 54 seconds left. Ingles hit a massive three to end the half. The crowd, again, they were pumping and ready to go. At this point, at the end of the first half, James Harden was 0 for 10 in field goals, but he was doing really well at the free throw line. So again, going back to his leadership, things like that as well too. Playing in other aspects of the game whenever you're not making shots, and he did that with free throws and getting the line, and still remained aggressive the entire time. But like I said, his shooting was terrible. He went 0 for 10, and he went on to make the worst career shooting, his worst career shooting half in his entire career. And later on in the game, it was actually, they said that it was the worst one in playoff history, the worst, like the most misses until a made basket in a game. So that was pretty interesting as well too. But again, Mitchell kept on going, building off of what he had in quarter one. Donovan Mitchell ended with 21 at the half. So again, big time plays. It looks like he's getting back to his old time Donovan Mitchell. He had a slow start this last season, the beginning of this regular season. And he just hasn't looked the same. He's still Donovan Mitchell. He's still a starting shooting guard or point guard or whatever you put him at in the league. And he's got tremendous upside. But he's starting to get in his groove again, and I love that so much. Now, after the half, again, this is all about team making adjustments, and that's kind of what each of them did. Again, they still made adjustments. And they still worked forward with their team and their game plan. But James Harden ended up getting his fourth foul with about 8:27 left in the half. So again, he's still in foul trouble. Can the Utah Jazz keep highlighting that in their game plan and keep going after him specifically? Now, one way that you can really highlight him and kind of make that person that's in foul trouble have like an increased chance of getting more fouls is running the pick and roll. But whenever you're running the pick and roll, you have to make sure that you're running it against a team that switches, which is almost everybody on there. But also you also have to run the pick and roll on one side of the half court where you're kind of isolated. So just your two guard or your one guard, whatever, and like a big man. Okay, if you have them switched over on there, it's less help coming to them for on the defensive side. So James Harden's going to have less help. So if he switches, well, then you've got a mismatch with maybe Gobert or Derek Favors or somebody like that that's in the post where he's going to have a mismatch all night long. Or maybe James Harden goes aggressive and he goes over the screen, could get a foul, goes under the screen, and you get an open three. So things like that, you can kind of see that they didn't particularly highlight that as much, which I kind of was expecting them to do, but that's okay. And we'll keep on going about the foul trouble in just a second as well too. But just to take a few seconds here just to congratulate the Utah Jazz on their great defense that they had on James Harden. Again, he kept missing shots, but they had good defense on him. Now, some of those shots were wide open for James Harden. I would consider wide open for James Harden at least. But for the most part, Utah Jazz was playing very tremendous good defense on him. It wasn't like he was just missing shots and he had a bad night. It also contributed to the fact that Utah Jazz plays super aggressive defense, and they really get after you on the defensive end. Now, another big player that played well in the third quarter, especially for the Utah Jazz, was Derek Favors. He had 2 big blocks, a big dunk, and then he hit 2 free throws within a span of about a minute and a half. So he had a good spark there as well too. Chris Paul got his 5th foul in the third quarter as well, but again, D'Antoni trusting his guys, and specifically, I guess, his leaders, not really just his guys, but his leaders just in general, with Chris Paul and James Harden continuing to play with that foul trouble. Now, side note, here we go. Chris Paul continued to play all of the fourth as well too, so he didn't sit out again, even though he had the 5 fouls. So it's interesting. You would expect maybe they take him out and then put Austin Rivers in there and let James Harden run the point, but again, that wasn't the case, and that's okay. That's totally fine. If it works out, it works out. But Mitchell, at this point, Donovan Mitchell did kind of decline a little bit with his points. He only had 4 points in the third quarter, and now he picked it up again in the fourth, like it is to be expected. But specifically in the third, he only had about 4 points at this point. Now, finally, James Harden, swinging it over to the fourth quarter here. James Harden finally gets his first field goal with 7:34, if I remember correctly, left in the game. And that was about, I think Doris Burke said that was about 39 minutes without a field goal that he had played at that point. So a lot of time that he played, and he couldn't make a single shot. Again, he made free throws, so he had points on the board. He just wasn't hitting shots. He did hit some big threes as well, too, by the end of the game. And, it continued to go on with his point total and so on and so forth. Now, Donovan Mitchell coming back again. There was a really good point in this game where right after James Harden hit his first basket, him and Donovan Mitchell had kind of this back and forth thing going where Donovan Mitchell hit a big time 3, and then James Harden answered it. And then I think the next play, Donovan Mitchell got like an and one or whatever. And then the next play, James Harden got a foul. So it was a really, again, I like to see the back and forth, especially in rivalry games in the playoffs, where these guys are just going back and forth. And it's kind of like what you can do, I can do better, essentially, where, okay, you'll get a free throw, you'll get free throws. Okay, well, I'm going to get a dunk. Okay. Oh, well, you just got dunked. Well, I'm going to hit a three or whatever. Oh, you just hit a three. I'm going to hit an and one or whatever the case is. So I like to see that. It was good competitive basketball. Again, they let them play. It wasn't dirty by any means. There wasn't a very hostile game tonight at all. There's a few scuff-ups, but, I mean, it's to be expected. It's the playoffs, that kind of thing. But for overall, everybody played really well. Now, the end of the game right now, Donovan Mitchell had a great opportunity to make a three-point shot. What happened was Clint Capella and Austin Rivers, what happened, there was an off-ball screen to free up Donovan Mitchell. That was Austin Rivers' guy. Clint Capella should have stepped up to see, like he should have noticed that Austin Rivers got caught up by Rudy Gobert in that screen. But what he didn't do that. Basically, Clint Capella stayed there. Donovan Mitchell had a wide open shot at the three. It looked like to me he hesitated for just a split second, and that's enough to throw off your shot sometimes. Well, I guess a lot of times. And he didn't make it, unfortunately. Houston got game 3. 104-101 was the final score. So that was pretty much it, guys, on this one. A very, very fun game. Like I said before we even started our brackets and before we even started recapping any of these videos, one of the series that I was specifically really, really looking forward to was the Houston Jazz series. And honestly, the first 2 games were kind of a letdown because I don't like to see blowouts in the playoffs. They're okay, I guess, if you're like an 8 seed and a 1 seed. Like, okay, like the Pistons-Bucks series, let me just get through it. But in this series, I want this one to go to 7 games because it's good basketball. The crowds are into it, and I love it. One's really good offensively, one's really good defensively, and well, I guess both of them are really good at both sides of the ball. But they're even. They're in even competition, in my opinion. But that was it, guys. I'm gonna try to. I might have a video out tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Tomorrow's actually my birthday, on April 21st. So I don't know if I'll have a video out or not tomorrow. It's also Game of Thrones too, so Game of Thrones is a big deal. So as always, guys, if you would like, comment, and subscribe. And tell your friends, like, this is you guys subscribing and you guys liking the videos and you guys commenting and just getting views as well. It's really helping me out a lot. This is something I'm really looking forward to, so I hope I can keep making videos for you guys. So as always, have a great night.
They survive a 3 for 20 shooting night by the MVP. But Harden had 10 assists, 6 steals, made almost